everybody, I'm Megan McCrory and I am a Program Manager on the Azure Auto Manage team. Thank you so much for joining the IT Server Management through Azure Auto Manage session. We have a lot of exciting topics to cover, starting with an overview of Auto Manage, which is a product to help simplify managing servers. Ned will then walk you through the Auto Manage for Windows Server capabilities, including Hot Patch and SMB over QUIC. Hot Patch allows you to update your Windows Server Azure Edition machines without rebooting. SMB over QUIC enables customers to access Windows file servers over untrusted networks without a VPN using the SMB over QUIC protocol. And then Greg will demo Azure Extended Networking, allowing new Windows VMs to preserve their on-premises IP addresses when migrating to Azure. So let's jump on in. We know that managing servers is complex and challenging, and it's really been this way for decades. When we talk to customers, they mention that they have to spend a lot of time managing their servers on a daily basis. They also have to keep up to date with the latest security and compliance guidance to ensure they are secure. It's also really challenging to manage environments that span different platforms, including on-premises and in the cloud. And finally, keeping up with all of the new cloud technology is difficult. Something new is always getting released, but spending the time to understand how to onboard and configure everything is very time-consuming. We want Auto Manage to help address these customer challenges so that you can focus your time on other innovative areas. With that, Azure Auto Manage is a service that helps automate daily management tasks for servers throughout their entire lifetime. In addition to the unique Windows Server capabilities that Ned and Greg will cover later, Auto Manage also configures and monitors machines with best practice services that help reduce the time that you need to spend managing your fleet so you can concentrate on other things. Here is the list of best practice services that Auto Manage configures for you. You can see Azure Backup, Azure Security Center, monitoring, update management, and more. Oftentimes we get asked, how exactly are these best practices identified? Which is a really great question. Let's flip over to the Cloud Adoption Framework and see a demo of Auto Manage in action. So here I am on the Azure Cloud Adoption Framework Management section under the Best Practices Azure Server Management Services. And you can see here that there's a lot of things that outline how to best migrate, secure, protect, monitor, configure, and govern your machines running in Azure. There's a lot of different tabs here that help you understand how to get started, how to enable different Azure services on a single VM, how to do ongoing cloud operations like enabling guest configure policy, and it's actually quite lengthy. It's a lot of different tabs, and kind of going through each and every one of these can take a couple hours for a given VM. We want to make this easier, and so with that, let's actually flip over to the Azure portal and check out Azure Auto Manage. So here I am on the Azure portal homepage, and I'm going to go ahead and hit in the search bar, I'm going to type in Auto Manage. So I can see that there's the option for Auto Manage Azure Machine Best Practices. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and next up I see that I am on my subscription called Auto Manage Demo Sub 1, and I actually don't have any Auto Manage VMs configured yet. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Enable on Existing Machine. Next up, I can see that I've got two properties here. One's the configuration profile and one's the machines. I'm going to start by looking at this configuration profile. Here we've got the Azure Best Practices Production Profile, the Azure Best Practices Dev Test Profile, or a custom profile. To begin, I'm actually going to view the best practice profiles to understand a bit more about what they mean. So here you can see that this is the Azure Best Practices Production Profile. This is the list of services that will be onboarded and configured to any machines that you select with this given profile. So you can, for instance, see that there's Machine Insights Monitoring, there's Backup, Security Center, and so on. And when you actually click on this, you can see what exactly are the given properties that it will use to install Azure Backup for your given machines. However, if I flip over to the Dev Test profile, I actually notice that Azure Backup is missing from this list. And that's typically because for a dev test machine, you might not need to back it up on a daily basis, and that can actually save on costs for you. So those are kind of the differences between the production and the dev test profile, and that this is really the list of services that will be configured. However, if your IT requirements are different from these best practices, For instance, maybe you use your own anti-malware solution and you don't actually want to use the Microsoft anti-malware solution. If that's the case, you can actually create your own custom profile where you can pick and choose from this list of services as to what you want onboarded to your given machines that you select in the next option. So to take a look at that, I'm going to go ahead and create a custom profile. And here I'm actually going to create a new one, and I'm going to call it Megan Profile. And next up, I'm going to select a resource group here, and I'm just going to choose one of my existing resource groups. And next up, I can see that there's all of these toggle buttons. There's some different properties for the backup settings. Here's anti-malware. This is the one where I potentially want to use my own anti-malware solution and I don't want to use the Microsoft anti-malware solution. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle this off. So now this will not be applied on the machines that I select when I create this profile and I use this profile. I can also, if I wanted to, go and remove other Azure services from this list, but I'm going to go ahead and keep it the same as it is and hit create. Now that that profile is created and I know that I'm using it, I'm going to go ahead and select my machines. So here I am on the Select Machines blade. I can see that I'm on my subscription called Auto Manage Demo Sub 1. I can see that I've got a list of machines here. Some are Windows, some are Linux based. I also can see that the resource type, some are Azure Virtual Machines, and some are Arc enabled servers. This is really cool because Azure Arc actually allows me to take advantage of Azure services no matter where my machines are running. So they could be running on premises, they could be running in another cloud, but I could still use Azure monitoring, for instance, to monitor all of these machines. And it gives me a one-stop shop in order for me to really see what the given status is across my entire fleet, no matter where they might be running. So with that, I love that I can use Auto Manage for all of these. I'm going to go ahead and select a couple. I'm going to select Windows Linux. I'm going to select some that are Arc enabled as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit select. Now I can click on enable and I can see that my profile is being assigned to those 7 machines that I just selected. And here I can actually see, here's the list of machines. Here's the configuration profile that they're all using. I can see that the status, some have already moved to the in progress state. So all of those services that I selected inside of Megan's profile will be applied. And what is great about Auto Manage is not only will it be configured the way that I want it to be, but Auto Manage will actually monitor all of these services to make sure that they stay configured. So for instance, if the monitoring extension gets removed accidentally on my given machine, Auto Manage will pick that up and it will try to reinstall that extension in order for monitoring to work correctly and make sure that it's always connected to the given machine. So that's really cool that it will make sure that things stay configured. I'm now actually going to switch over to another tab. Here I've got another demo subscription and I can actually see that I've got a lot of machines here that are already configured. For instance, machine 10 is still in progress. Most of my machines are all conformant with the green check mark, which is great because that means that they are conformant to the profile that is assigned to it. So some, for instance, are conformant to the production profile, some are conformant to the dev test profile, and some are conformant to even a custom profile. However, I do see that my machine 1 is not conformant. So this is the case where, for instance, Auto Manage could not perform some action to make sure that all of the services are configured the way that they should be. So what I can do is I can actually click on this and I can get more information here. I can see that I've got my machine, I can see the start time of when it started to be non-conformant. I can even see what the error is. So it seems like there's something going on with the Microsoft monitoring agent. It's still processing, something's taking a long time, and it's causing monitoring to have some issues. And to troubleshoot further, I can actually look at the deployment name, I can look at the correlation ID. These will contain the logs where I can try to troubleshoot exactly what's happening. Or I could even create a new support request, which will have all of the details of this given error directly there so I can get some support to help me troubleshoot further. And this is just a nice summary view for you to be able to really understand kind of next steps for this non-conformant machine. Next up though, let's take a look at the key takeaways of Azure Auto Manage machine best practices. As you saw, Auto Manage automatically onboards and configures your machines to the selected best practice services. One of those services is the Microsoft Guest Configuration Service, which supports Microsoft security baselines on your given operating system. So not only will AutoManage apply Azure services, but it will also apply the Microsoft security baselines inside your given operating system. Finally, we also support flexibility through that custom profile option, so you can pick and choose the Azure best practice services that fit your IT requirements. AutoManage will also automatically monitor, and if for any reason one of the services drifts from the desired configuration, AutoManage will correct it when it can. And simply, we want this to be easy. We want that point-and-click portal experience, and you can even use Azure Policy if you want to apply this at scale or use ARM templates. Here are the list of supported regions where AutoManage is available. So if you have any machines in these given regions, you can try out AutoManage today. We are looking at expanding this list, so stay tuned and keep up with the AutoManage documentation for more regions to come. And finally, AutoManage once again is that simple experience, and we support Windows VMs running in Azure where you can apply AutoManage. You can also use AutoManage on Linux VMs in Azure. You can also use AutoManage on Windows and Linux VMs running anywhere. You can also use it on bare metal machines running anywhere. And you can fully customize these services through custom profiles. So if you need to pick and choose the services that fit your needs, you can. And you can apply, once again, that profile to machines running anywhere. And best of all, this is a free offering. So when you go and apply AutoManage, there's no additional fee for using AutoManage. Obviously, though, there's some services like Azure Backup, which can incur a cost, but the AutoManage itself is free. So there's no reason why you shouldn't get started today. So check out this link, try out AutoManage, and make it simpler for you to manage your servers no matter where they're running. And now I'll turn it over to Ned to show us the new features for Azure AutoManage for Windows Server.
Thanks, Megan. I don't have a whole lot of time here, so we're going to go ahead and haul patootie. I'm going to talk about Azure Edition. I'm going to talk about SMB over QUIC. I'm going to give you not one, but two demonstrations. And hopefully when we're all done here, you will be raring to go on this brand new feature. What is Azure Edition? You've probably heard about it by now. Windows Server 2022 Data Center. Azure Edition is a new edition of Windows Server. It contains the latest hybrid and compute features. It runs only on Azure Cloud or on Azure Stack HCI 21H2. And it is the best Windows Server VM. Why? It contains Data Center, everything you put into Data Center, and then additional features on top of that, and then tied to the Azure AutoManage service for additional operational excellence. Well, what's in it, you're asking yourself? Well, one is Hot Patch. Hot Patch is what it sounds like. Get security updates and not reboot. You will only reboot a few times a year with this feature. And then eventually, we hope, maybe once or twice or never. Azure Extended Network. This feature is something that we're going to talk about at the end of this presentation with Greg Cusanza. And then SMB over QUIC. This is me. SMB, you all know, is just the way that Windows copies files, does fabrics. It's one of the core protocols of Windows Server. SMB over QUIC is saying, instead of using RDMA or TCP, what if we instead use the QUIC protocol? What is the QUIC protocol? It's a UDP-based, always encrypted with TLS 1.3 protocol that acts, in this case, with SMB like a built-in VPN. It's the basis of other applications like HTTP3 and some other DNS. But the goal here is to say SMB can operate safely at the edge over untrusted networks like the internet, into Azure or into your on-prem at the edge on top of an Azure Stack HCI platform from Windows 11 and from others. What are others? That's mysterious. Let's see that in a second. This means telecommuters, mobile users, hybrid users, and very, very high security postured users, even internal to your network, can safely use SMB on a network you just don't trust. Because there's no authentication. The SMB itself never goes on the wire. It is always inside this encrypted transport protocol. So that's fine. Let me demonstrate. You're probably thinking to yourself, this is going to be complicated for users. It's going to change the experience. It is the opposite. Okay, so here's my user logged into her laptop. She has a drive mapped to this editor share. Open that up. I'm inside, she's inside the building right now. She's on corporate network, the organizational network. She finds her a folder there. She's opening up a document. It's this book that she's editing. She works at a publishing house. I'll let this load up. And it's a nice coffee table book about some very attractive dogs by some guy. Okay, so that's the normal experience today, right? Now let's see this user go across the street to a coffee house where she's no longer able to do SMB over TCP 445 because it's blocked by the firewall like normal. Got my share still, that seems to be going fine. It's not going fine. I click on it, nothing happens. What about if I go and just try to open it from Word? It's trying to open up the share as well. Word's going to take its time and eventually also throw an error. All right, so I'm now in Windows Admin Center as an administrator, a file server administrator. I've got my server on the edge network, and I'm going to configure SMB over QUIC. And just don't blink because you're going to miss this. It's really quick and easy. So I'm going to open up file server settings. We've got all these types of things to configure for file server, but down here I have SMB over QUIC, so I'll click on configure. Notice here I've got some certificates to pick from. I've already added some to this machine. I'm going to pick one that I know is valid and select which names I want to be exposed for people to connect to this server. Notice that we are configuring Kerberos through the KDC proxy for you. Go ahead and click enable. Give this a second. And there you go. It's all configured. Let's get back to our user. Round two, Megan is enjoying a latte. Let's try and open up this share. Notice I haven't touched anything for the user. Oh, it's working. The user didn't get any sort of like extra prompts or like, oh, we're using QUIC now. Are you sure you want to use QUIC? Like, try to make this as easy and as transparent as possible. Open up that share. Get back to that coffee table book. Load it right back up. And there it is. Excellent. As simple as that. So that was pretty slick, right? Seeing Windows 11 doing this, but I have a surprise for you that no one's ever seen before until now. So without further ado, SMB over QUIC with Android phone from our partners at Visuality Systems.
Hello, my name is Joe Barry, and I am a team member of the Visuality Systems R&D department. Visuality Systems is regarded as the world leader in providing commercial SMB client and server libraries implemented in C and Java for embedded, storage, IoT, as well as web and mobile applications. Today, we will show an Android File Manager demo application that utilizes the SMB protocol over QUIC to browse via the internet a Windows 2022 server that resides on the Azure cloud. Using our library, an Android device is able to use SMB over TCP and SMB over QUIC. Okay, so let's get started with the demo. On the left side, we see my Android device being mirrored on the screen, while on the right side, we are connected via remote desktop to a Windows 2022 server running on the Azure platform. Let's run our File Manager application. We'll press on the Docs icon, and we will note that there are no documents to find. So let's go to the Network icon. And we'll see there we also have no networks defined, so we're going to create a connection. Here we see our Azure connection that we want to connect to. And oops, we failed to connect. This is because we're running on TCP only. So now we're going to add SMB over QUIC, and we're going to connect again. Note on the right side, suddenly we're going to see lots of QUIC packets, and this indicates that we are able to talk to Azure. And now we're going to go to the dashboard screen, and from there we're going to go to document category, which will show all documents on all the shares that we have discovered. The first file is a text file. Let's open it up and see what's inside. We'll choose the text viewer, and now we see the contents of the file. Let's go back, and now we're going to do a search for video files. Here we have found one file, and let's open it up and let's play the video. Note that we are streaming the video and we are not downloading the video before we're playing it. Through the demo just shown, we can all see that SMB over QUIC will shortly become a revolutionary feature that eliminates the need for requiring VPN connectivity to a remote site. File sharing becomes easier to implement and use. Thank you for watching our demonstration.
For more information on SMB over QUIC, visit aka.ms/SMB over QUIC. Hope you enjoyed these demonstrations and are interested in this new scenario and new sets of features. I'm going to now throw over to Greg Kusanza, who's going to talk about and demonstrate Azure Extended Networking. Take it away, Greg.
Thanks, Ned. Hi, I'm Greg Kusanza, a Program Manager Lead on the core networking team at Microsoft. I'm here to close out this session with Extended Network for Azure. We launched Extended Network into preview at Ignite in Orlando in 2019, and since then I've been able to help a number of customers migrate their workloads into Azure without breaking applications that are hard-coded to a specific IP address. Now, as part of Windows Server Azure Edition, we are ready to remove the preview tag and make Extended Network available with support to our customers. Extended Network for Azure is a tool that lets you extend a subnet into Azure for the purpose of migrating VMs while maintaining their IP addresses. It uses 2 Windows VMs to create an overlay tunnel between the sites. The tunnel goes over your existing connection into Azure, so it doesn't require additional encryption, firewall rules, or internet IP addresses. And because the appliances mimic the IP addresses at the opposite end, it doesn't require risky and evasive changes to your physical network. Getting Extended Network up and running requires a few basic steps. First, you need to configure your hybrid network with Azure. You may have done this already. It involves setting up a site-to-site connection over the internet or using ExpressRoute following standard documentation. Then you deploy 2 virtual appliances. One needs to be in Azure using Windows Server Azure Edition. This one can take advantage of the auto-manage features you heard about earlier in the session. You also deploy an appliance in your environment on premises. When those are ready, you then use Windows Admin Center to configure the extended network. After doing the basic setup, you can then migrate your machines and select which IPs you want to extend between the 2 sites. You keep doing this over and over again as each VM gets migrated one at a time. Let's take a quick look at this in action. Our environment consists of our on-premises network with a file server and IIS web server that will remain on premises for the time being. We have our 2 appliances deployed in the middle of the diagram, and we've already migrated one of the VMs into Azure. This is the machine on the right. This demo will show the process of extending the network so they can then communicate using their original IP addresses on the 10.1.2.0/24 subnet. You'll find Extended Network under Available Extensions in Windows Admin Center. To install it, click Install. It'll take a few seconds, and then, once it's complete, it'll show up under Installed Extensions. At this point, you can go and connect to your on-premises appliance, and when you do that, you'll then see Extended Network in the left pane. You're ready to set up. Now before we set it up, let's look at what we have in Azure already configured. You can see the virtual network with the subnet that's going to be extended, the transit network which is going to be used for the tunnel traffic. We've also got our gateway VM already deployed, as well as the service that we've migrated is there. Here is the Azure service. It's connected to the Azure Virtual Network, as you can see on the left, and it has internet connectivity provided by it. We're going to try to connect to some of our on-premises machines, a web server and a file server. You'll see when we click on the file server, it's just going to get a spinning cursor indicating that it's trying to connect, but nobody's responding. This is because the VM is in Azure on the subnet and hasn't been extended yet. The web server also timed out because we weren't able to reach it. Now, let's go in and continue our setup through Windows Admin Center. This setup will walk you through about 5 panels, selecting all of the settings that you'll need, and then it'll deploy the configuration into the virtual appliances. The basic setup takes about 20 minutes, during which time it's going to install a host agent and then bring things up. Eventually the status will come up as OK, and then you can start mapping your IP addresses across. Select whichever addresses on premises you want to be reached from Azure, as well as select which machines in the Azure subnet you want to make available to your on-premises side. After doing that, it'll take just under a minute and then show that those addresses are now available. Here it is once it's completed. Now we can go back to our service that is in Azure. You can see we still have internet connectivity. And now if we connect to the on-premises web server, the traffic is reachable at that .10 address. And of course, we can go to our file server at .30, click on it, and it's immediately reachable as well. We can get to our document folder, open up a file, and edit it as if we were local on the network. And that's a quick overview of Extended Network for Azure. You can find more information on Extended Network for Azure, including how to set it up, in the link that we'll provide you in a few seconds. But this wraps up this session, where we covered Azure Auto Manage, SMB over QUIC, and Extended Network. These are all new features in Windows Server 2022 Data Center, Azure Edition. If you want more information about any of these, you can go to the aka.ms links you see here, aka.ms/automanageportal, aka.ms/smb over QUIC, or aka.ms/extended network. Thanks for watching this session.